Hello everybody, it's Mark here from Mark and Adam. Adam's not here, as always. I don't know where the hell he is. I don't know what he's doing, but he's good. Everything's good. And today we're going to talk about our favourite and most used Ableton stock plugins. Obviously we use lots of plugins when we're producing music. I happen to like and use a lot of the stock ones on Ableton, so I'm going to go over those with you today, show you which ones I like, and give them a try. Okay, here we go. Okay, the first plugin that I want to show you that we use quite often, and this is in no particular order, but we're just going to start with this one. It is in multiband dynamics, and it is OTT, right? Now, here's what's funny. Mark, do you use OTT, the plugin from Xfer? You know, it's absolutely hilarious, but I've never used that plugin. I have it. I just recently, as of this video, I recently got it. I still haven't used it. I just like this Ableton stock one. I really like it. So I never really felt the need to go and get the one from Xfer. I love Xfer. I use their LFO tool. I know a lot of people like the stuff they do. Everybody slaps OTT on everything, including us. But this one's always done it. The Ableton OTT, it probably is the most used one of the Ableton stock plugins because I literally throw it on everything. We'll go over this little guitar part here from our song called In the Rain. If you've not heard our song called In the Rain, give it a listen. It's a pretty good track. But here I'll show you a couple of things, why I like the OTT, and a little cool trick that I have picked up along the way that really does us well also. So here we go. I'll just add the OTT. So you can see just adding that really added a lot to the sound. I'm going to pull back on the amount. Now here's another trick as well, quick little trick you can do, and this works really well for vocals as well, is that you can pull, instead of EQing, you can boost inside here. So if you boost the lows, boost the highs almost to the end, and then, or sorry, the mids almost to the end, and then the lows just a little bit beneath that, your amount knob just becomes like dry wet for these settings, and it's really, really good. Here we go. And without, big difference. See, this OTT does the trick. Everybody likes the other one. I think because people just like plugins. But anyway, I like this one, right? Just make sure you pull back the output a little bit on there. It's pretty simple, right? It's a pretty simple plugin, but fantastic. It does a great job. It's one of our favourites. We slap it on absolutely everything. If you use Ableton, try this OTT. It's fantastic. Alright, on to the next one. Alright. Next plugin that we love that's an Ableton stock plugin is the Compressor, right? Simple Ableton Compressor. Nothing too fancy about it. I'll let you know the feature that I really love about it in a second. But this compressor actually can do the job. It really can. I know there's a ton of good compressors. I like, Fab Filter stuff. I like Wave stuff, obviously. But the Ableton compressor is really, really good. Let's just give it a quick listen here.
Can you feel the fire burn? Spark ignites the flame. Shall we go our separate ways, or should we just stay the same? And I know that I wasn't really right for you, and I promise that I'm the blame. Just don't go, cause this life isn't right for me, and it's causing me all this pain.
Here we go, right? The Ableton compressor has a couple of drawbacks. The actual gain reduction is can be inconsistent at times depending on what signal you're working with, but overall I like it. And what I really like about it is the sidechain. You can very, very easily just come in here and sidechain with it. I like the sidechain, especially if you're working with something that needs a lot of pump. The pump in the sidechain of the Ableton compressor is really, really good. So if that's the sound you're looking for, you know, you may go to other compressors, but you might just find that you like the pump of the Ableton compressor. So again, there's definitely better compressors out there, but this one will do the job. Alright, what's next? Alright, next we'll stick with this vocal track. We'll stick coming right off the back of this compressor. I really, really love the audio effect rack in Ableton, especially for creating quick chains and all that kind of stuff, for mixing vocals and everything, and trying to get all your reverbs, all your delays, everything in there, panning and all that. It's great just to sit here, throw a reverb on inside here, create a chain, right? A chain in here. You've got your wet dry. Now you can start throwing on some delays as well, right? You just keep adding and adding and adding in here. It's really, really cool. You know, I mean, whatever. Look, let's throw in an auto pan. Let's throw in a delay, and you can just basically have a nice little chain in the effects rack. It's absolutely fantastic. Another thing that the effects rack is great with is you can throw it on here, right? I'm just going to create a little group with a chain. You can do a lot of parallel compression in here as well. The audio effects rack is great. I don't really know if other DAWs have this. I'm sure they do. I just don't know because I don't use other DAWs. But the audio effects rack is great, especially if, you know, if you like your vocals a certain way. Like my dry chain on vocals is very similar on every single vocal that I get back from different artists we work with. So I just have a dry vocal chain effects rack, and then I have a wet vocal chain effects rack, and I can just build off of those effects racks and add some things outside of them, at the back of them, into them when it's song dependent. So the audio effects rack, you know, seems kind of boring. It's just a rack that you're throwing other kinds of stuff in, but I mean, it's absolutely fantastic in my opinion. It'll speed up your workflow. It's just great, right? I mean, there's been tons of times before when I'm working different reverbs, different delays, and I want to have that same kind of sound on my next track, and I'm sitting and I'm going, how did I get that again? And then you've got to open up that project file, check out what you did. Oh, I forgot this part. If you can create these effects racks and save them, you're just slapping them on. It's almost like building your own little plugins, your own little chains. So I really like the audio effects rack. I probably use it all the time, right? I mean, all the time, especially for vocals. All the time we use that. If you're not using effects racks in Ableton, you need to. You need to. It'll speed you up, give you more time to be creative, and they're just fantastic. All right, what's next? Alright, next Ableton Stock Plugin that I really like is the EQ8, right? I'll tell you right now, I am a EQ nerd.
Nerd alert!
I love EQing sound. I just love it, right? And we'll make videos of EQing. I'll show you how we EQ, and we'll get really nerdy with it another time. Today we're just going to talk very basic about this EQ8 and Ableton, why I like it. Obviously, the biggest thing I like about the EQ8 is that it's simple, it's very, very fast, it's effective, and I love the waveform, right? If you see when I play this little synth group that I have here, the waveform is fantastic. It's fantastic. And that's what I like as well, is that it shows you kind of where you are, and if I cut, it shows the cut. So it shows what you're keeping and cancels out everything else. Very simple to use. The other thing I like is this right here. It will show you the frequency levels as you swipe over, as well as the notes, right? Of course, it will show you dB reduction or boost. But what I like about this is it's very simple. This song is in F, so I can sit here and I can, if I just want to use my EQ and have it in the tune of the song, I can sit here and go, okay, I'll EQ my lows at F. And when I come back and do my highs, I'll cut them at F. Also, you know, you have all your little things, your shelves, your hard cuts, all this. It's just fantastic. Very easy as well if you want to start actually, you know, scanning for frequencies you don't like. It's very easy to do in this EQ. There. Now, I mean, if you're just looking for a quick EQ, something really fast that you need to get done, the EQ8's great. I use it a lot, to be fair. I mean, I will come back and do a lot of dynamic EQ and with fab filter type stuff. I really love that. But not bad at all, this Ableton EQ. And it is pretty powerful. It really does a good job. It is very detailed. You know, it's great. And the fact that you can take this other view, really make it bigger, check out the frequencies you're at, the decibel levels here that you're at, and then the notes, I think that's great. Especially if you want to take this and make it your course EQ, and then if you want to, you know, EQ later and get really down and dirty with things like fab filter, you know, you don't need a bunch of different instances of fab filter humping your CPU. You can have, for some of your more coarse type stuff that doesn't need a lot of detail when it comes to EQing, you can use a couple of instances of the EQ8, get all that kind of heavy work done, and then come back and get the detailed stuff done with what you feel might be a better EQ. That's it. The EQ8 is another EQ that we really love. Okay, the last one I want to talk about today, as far as Ableton stock plugins go that we use all the time and that we really like, is the Auto Pan. I really like Auto Pan. I know it's not very fancy, it's not very exciting, it's very simple Auto Pan type stuff, but I love it on bass to get some movement in the bass frequencies. I like it in our saws to give the saw and our synths some movement. Auto Pan is just great to just slap on stuff. Vocals as well, my goodness, so easy to use. Just throw a quick Auto Pan on, very easy here to get it through. I like to put it on the notes, right? Put it on the note and then you can just sit and go through. Right, I'm going to put it on a eighth note here, and then we're just going to toggle the amount, and you can change the shape. It's very simple to use, very effective as well. We really like it. Let's check this one out a little bit here. Very simple. You can change the forms down here. It's just great. It's very, very easy to use, very quick. You can add some stuff, especially to the bass. You know, I mean, you could be sitting in your synth all day messing with your bass. The other thing that's great about this Auto Pan is just automating it, right? Automating it throughout the track, automating it throughout the bass. You can have the same bass line, but it's going to be completely different, say, in the break than it is to the drop. But it's the same bass. You're just panning it and using the Auto Pan to really create some movement where you want it. So there we go. Those are probably the 5 most used and the 5 best liked Ableton stock plugins that we use. If you're not using these, I highly encourage you to use them. And you know, even if you have better plugins out there, I always feel it's good to get the most out of your stock plugins. As long as you have a good stock plugin, get the most out of it, and then go ahead and bring in something else. Like for instance, if I'm using the Ableton Compressor and I'm just finding that it's not giving me what I need, then I'll go and bring in something from somewhere else, like FabFilter or something. The other thing is as well that I do often is we work kind of in big project files, and the CPU, it can always be a bit of an issue. I may throw in some Ableton plugins to get the idea there for what I want to do with that plugin, and I might know that I need a little bit better quality compression, but I'm using the Ableton stock compressor for now to get me close, and then I'll swap it out later with something else, either from Waves or from FabFilter. You know, oftentimes right before I render a finished part to audio. So I'll use a lot of Ableton plugins as placeholders that I will replace later with something else. That doesn't happen too often, but it does happen, and it's a great technique, and you'll really get to learn the Ableton stock plugins this way. Alright, we narrowed it down to 5. We'll give some honourable mentions. Again, these are in no particular order, just like the last list. I do like the Ableton Reverb. If you look up on the screen here, boom, it's very simple, very basic. I like it though, it's pretty effective. The Ableton Reverb is good. I like Valhalla stuff myself, but the Ableton Reverb is not bad at all. If you're not using it, give it a look. Next honour in the honourable mention category will be Amp. Amp is very cool plugin, especially like for guitars, but I find myself using it quite often. These presets here, and you know, or these styles, I guess you could call it, are really, really good as far as really changing your sound and giving you a different vibe to your sound. So I like Amp a lot. I don't use it too often, but I really like it when I do. Next, it's very boring. I probably use it more than anything, but it's not something to put on like a top list, is the utility, right? It's very simple. I use utilities a lot. Obviously not very sexy. It's just a poor, lonely, lowly utility. But you'll get a lot of use out of the utility in Ableton, especially with automation, mastering, all kinds of stuff like that. The utility is very good. Speaking of mastering, I like the Ableton limiter. Now, I use all kinds of other limiters, and I am one of those people, and we'll probably make a video about it. I like the sausage fattener as a limiter. The old school sausage fattener used as a limiter, I think is great. But the Ableton limiter is really good. Again, like we talked about before, if we've got a lot going on in the project file, and I don't want to hump my CPU, I'm not ready for mastering or anything yet, and maybe I'm using a limiter for something here or there, I'm going to use the Ableton limiter, save that CPU space. I think it does a really good job, and there have been times where I've kept the Ableton limiter all the way through the track and either used it through the end or swapped it out right at the last minute. So that's a very good one as well. And then the last one we'll talk about today before we let you go on to other things is the saturator, right? Ableton saturator does the job. My favourite saturator is probably the Soundtoys Decapitator. This saturator in Ableton really does the job, especially if you don't want too detailed saturation. You just need a little bit of warmth, you need a little bit of high-end shimmer. This one is perfect, absolutely perfect. And again, that CPU, we always need it. the Ableton Saturator can do the job. Alright, that's it. You've got 5 that we use all the time that we really like, and then 5 other honourable mentions. Let us know what you think about this video below. You can comment, check out the links, check out the song that we used for today's video called In the Rain, and also make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, check out our website, listen to our music on Spotify. We really appreciate that, and definitely like and subscribe to the channel. That helps us out a lot. We will continue to make some good content for you, and get in touch with us. We want to know what you think, and feedback's always appreciated, and we will be in touch with you. We hope everybody's having a fantastic day, and we will see you later.